Welcome to Clixed Off, brought to you by Lucky Dice Cafe out of Huntsville, Alabama. Check them out at luckydicecafé.com. And now for your hosts, Daniel Powell, Jason Alvey, and Tyler Speeds.
Hey everybody, welcome to Clixed Off today. This is your host Daniel Powell speaking, and just want to let everyone know that Clixed Off is brought to you by trollandtoad.com, the world's largest Heroclix retailer. Use coupon code CLIXEDOFF for 5% off your Heroclix order. Merchant and pre-order items do not apply. And if you like what you hear today on Clixed Off, be sure to check us out at patreon.com/ClixedOff. And joining me today is one of the other title sponsor of Clixed Off, owner of Lucky Dice Cafe and the ROC, Howard Brock.
Hey guys.
I'm a little rusty on my intro today, Howard.
That's okay. Well, you were under the weather. How long did that last you?
A few days, but I'm over it now. So it was a busy time during Christmas, and now we're circling back to talking about the big announcement and the future of ROC for 2021.
Yeah, I'm glad to talk about that because I know that I think the biggest thing is that when you make an announcement, I understand why WizKids doesn't say things sometimes, and it's kind of no matter whether you say something or you don't say something, there's too many people that form a lot of conjecture. They guess and they start rumors and they think that one thing's going on when it's not, and just a lot of things just fly all over the place. And I mean, sometimes they get some of this stuff right, but there's a lot of stuff that they don't. And WizKids, I love them, but they don't speak up and talk as much to everybody the way that I do. I mean, I've always been on the forefront. And I've always, I'm not shied away from hard questions, and we made mistakes, Lord help us, many times, and we've always tried to correct them. WizKids, I think, corrects their mistakes when they make them also a little slower than maybe we do, but they do make the mistakes, but they tend to stay out of the mix of when they make announcements and stuff is going on. They even go so far as to not even let you comment on them. And I mean, I remember going back years ago where if you said anything negative in their forums, even when I played HCO, that you immediately were cut off. Anything that they deem negative. And we've never been that way. I get irritated sometimes. I get irritated sometimes at what people say, not so much because I don't value their opinion, but sometimes they're so far in left field. It's ridiculous. And so that's why I like doing these things when we make announcements, so we can go through everything and clarify everything and let everybody know what the real is out there, not the false. So anyway, let's shoot forward.
Sure. So we'll do kind of a reverse of our normal format, and we'll start out with our listener questions, and then we'll talk with Howard on what all he has to, the unasked questions, the answers to the questions you have not asked. So let's start out. So I think I'll just go with the 30-second version of this, Howard. Then I ask you the first question here. So for the near term here, hopefully the near term, WizKids has suspended their sponsorship of the ROC, and a lot of that seems attributable to COVID and the pandemic and the distribution of maps and events not being ran. So, there's several different announcements here and several different questions on points and maps and legalities and all that kind of stuff. So we'll dive into all of that. All right, so our first question comes in from Sam Powell. What happens? Yeah, she's been interested in getting back into it in 2021. So, what happens to the points that we already have? What happens to basically the WKO points that we had last year or the past 2 years, really?
They're froze. The WKO points are still good, providing we have WizKids Nationals and Worlds this year. They're still usable. You just can't accumulate more for now, and so they're just froze until you can use them.
Okay. So, like, if there is Nationals at, say, Origins in 21, we still would be able to use our WKO points to enter Nationals.
Right, that's correct.
Okay. So Caleb Reddick is kind of wanting to know more about ROC maps. What about ROC maps? Are they still going to be produced, sold? If so, will we see more events online, or I'm sure online, to incentivize buying and I would assume playing for them?
Yeah, well, I mean, we made ROC maps before we joined with WizKids, and they were just as popular back then as they are now. I mean, we like having the WKO and the WizKids logo on there. We like them being legal, but we will continue to make maps just like we did before, and as we are now. The quarterly map right now is the Phoenix Nest, and that will last until the second quarter, and then we'll have a new prize map. We already got monthly maps starting in January, and those will continue. There's always the possibility that when this all becomes unpaused, that I can talk WizKids into coming back and making those maps legal. I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but I don't see why that wouldn't happen. I mean, we may have to do some special things to. For example, the maps right now there's nothing wrong with the maps that we just produced, the sewer map and the Phoenix Nest and
Data mine.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with those. With the concern, it was my concern, and it's kind of weird. I almost feel like this bit me back when I brought it up, that I was concerned about the distribution, and that I thought that maybe we should sell some of these maps, and that turned into WizKids looking at it and saying, hey, we need to put the program on pause. But the reasoning is sound. I don't disagree with it. So, but my point is, I guess, to get back on track on the question, is when sponsorship started with ROC, we didn't start from day one and those maps were WizKids legal. They took the previous 2 years worth of maps that had no WizKids logo on it and that we had produced for ROC and said that all of those maps were legal. So my hope is that when we do unpause, that the maps that we're producing now will be legal also for WizKids. But there's no guarantee that that's going to happen.
Right.
I would say that distribution could affect that. I mean, if I can go and you guys are purchasing maps and we're playing in events, that certainly would help when I talk to WizKids.
Right. And I think the other point I wanted to make here with Caleb's question is, 2018 is when the right after ROC Cup 2018 is when you announced the partnership to originally, you had to make a run of I know specifically it was Pal Farm, but then there was a couple of other maps at that time. Maybe like the Hedge Maze or something. Don't quote me on that one. But I remember my map was supposed to have been a prize map, but to make it WizKids legal, you had to make a run of them that were sellable.
That's right.
And purchasable. So, I saw some things about the data, the Phoenix Nest, and then the sewers, supposed to have been prize maps, and there is the prize version of those that are essentially a variant map, but you can get the exact same map as a buyable. The hardcore collector would want both, but for all intents and purposes, the maps are the same thing, functionality-wise. And, you've had to do that before, just to make sure that people can get the map.
Yeah, that's right. Well, what happened with back when your map was released, it was released at the Cup, and it became the quarterly prize for the fourth quarter of that year. And there were and WizKids was kicking in January. So we made that announcement, and and that's a slow time. Seems to be a slow time. The last quarter of every year has always seemed to be a slower time because we've already ran ROC the Cup. We've already run all the regionals, the states, all that stuff is run, and it kind of slows down. And all the WizKids main events have ended. And so it's almost like we go on vacation or take a break or whatever during the holidays from Clix to a degree. I mean, there's still some stuff being played, but it slows down a lot. So the distribution for your map when we hit January was just not that much. And so what we don't want to have happen, we want the prize maps to be something that people have to play to win, and that's rare, but you don't want to get it to the point where it's too rare. For example, let's use the recent Phoenixes that were released. Okay. There's probably 30, 40 of those in the world right now that are released. Now there's more of them. They just haven't done anything with them yet.
Right.
But if WizKids were never to release any more of them, that would be unfair. That would mean that those 30 or 40 pieces, even though that they were prizes and valued because they were prizes, it creates a unbalanced game. And that's the same with the maps. We don't want the distribution to be so low as to where it's unbalanced in the game, where you can't not anybody can have them. And that was my concern with the sewer map, and that was my concern with Phoenix Nest. All of them. That was the concern, and that was the concern with your map way back, and that's why things happened the way they did.
Right.
Now, the other thing that I probably would have done a little differently, but it wasn't really on me, is I would have probably put the Phoenix Nest and the sewer map. We wouldn't have done anything with data mines, of course, but I would have put those up for sale for $50 rather than $30, just to show that they are not a monthly map, that they're a little bit more value. WizKids didn't want to do that. They wanted to do it at 30 or 29, and I'm fine with that. But to compensate for that, we did the cosmetic difference, so there was some separation between the two, like you just mentioned, so that you still had a prize map that was different.
Sure. No, I think that's completely reasonable request. To get things moving and to just keep a map from not being able to be legal. So I think DJ Riggin asked a question here about the points being transferable, but this might be a good thing to talk about the new events and the buys and the passing down of the buys.
Yeah, well, DJ, of course, was at that ROC Cup announcement where that one question was asked 5 times. So there's hardly any show or anything that I ever do that question doesn't get asked, just because. And you were there, you know exactly what happened. That at least 5 times after I said that that they're not transferable, we got asked at least 5 times, almost back to back, I think, Dan.
Sure.
All right, so the question is how the buys work forthcoming.
Yeah, I think there'd be a good chance to talk about how the buys are working coming up this year at events. All right, so talking about buys and how those are going to work this year.
So I have to go to the end game to kind of back up to make sure that everybody understands what the buys mean and how they work. So the ROC Cup again. There's a chance also by the time we run the ROC Cup that we're back hooked up with WizKids. I think that we're both that everybody's being optimistic that the fall everything could be back to normal. That would mean having WizKids Worlds and having the ROC Cup and having events, having WKOs and everything again. We're optimistic about fall, but the future is not predictive. So the way that we've got it set up, I had to plan things as if I was going to be solo without WizKids. So we brought the $5,000. We brought money back into the ROC Cup, and we will have prizing there also. And hopefully WizKids will be a part of that also, as well. And again, the plan, if nobody's heard this, the plan is that 2022 is normal, and we are hooked up with WizKids, and we're doing all the stuff that we did before. But I'm going to keep the $5,000 in there. So next 2022 ROC Cup, hopefully we'll have WizKids prizing, and also have $5,000 in there too.
Sure.
So now the ROC Cup, this is kind of a hybrid between what we did before and what we were currently doing with WizKids. To get into the cup, you used to have to. It was free to get in if you and you could play your way in by winning rock and rolls or playing in some events or using your points, and that would buy you in at different levels. And we had quarter, semis, and then the finals, and then we did away with the quarters and we just had semis. So what this is, it's kind of like that, but you don't qualify the way that you did before with points. There's no points being involved, and everybody will pay to come in. I don't care if you have a bye to the final day, you're still paying an entry fee. Now, the reason that has to be is to fund the cup, to fund the money. The way that we did it before, we had gobs of tournaments that we were able to take money and fund the cup, and we were able to fund $15,000. A little bit different than that now. So it's what we're doing is we're using part of the money that we're making when we run the cup to fund the prizing on the cup, if that makes any sense. So that's everybody's got to still pay an entry fee. We've worked out the itinerary in our heads. We've taken notes of what the ROC Cup's going to look like, but it's not locked in concrete. But what it looks like right now is something like this. Thursday night, we would have our little special tournament that we used to do, the team event. Friday, we would be having a battle royals and stuff like that, and then we'll do a special event, probably like the wrestling event on Friday, late Friday, for people to come in and play. And then we go into Saturday morning. And Saturday morning, we will start the team event. Again, rock and rolls and everything, and hard rocks all going on at the same time.
So again, teams start Saturday morning. If you don't want to participate in teams because you want to try to qualify for the cup, you can do that by playing rock and rolls and hard rocks. Teams will start Swiss play early in the morning. When it ends, we will then play. We'll take a slight break, and then we'll come back and do the finals, the single elimination. After that ends, that it'll be not real late, but it'll be that evening, that night. We will then start singles, and if you can qualify by playing to get to that point, you can qualify by winning tournaments during the year. If you win a qualifier or a special event, that would put you in the tournament at that point. You can also have played in rock and rolls and some events at the cup that will also get you in, and then all of those people play, and then we're gonna. I think where our plans are to. I don't remember what the cut is, but I want to say we're cutting to like 32 or half. I think we cut to half the field. Half the field goes forward. So if we got 100 people, I think we've got it. That would be like 50 people going forward into Sunday. We'll play Swiss rounds. I think we're scheduling, going on memory, Dan. So
Okay.
don't quote me. I don't have my notes in front of me. I want to say we're going to play 4 Swiss rounds and then half the field move into Sunday. So then we'll close it down Saturday night. We'll come back on Sunday, and Sunday that half that field will join people that have gotten buys to that point. You can earn a buy into that point. That could be a special event, but it also would be the last year's winners, the world champion, which would be Adam. It would be Adam, and he also happens to be the national champion, so he would have got a buy for that. But we're taking more, and I don't remember the number, but we're taking more, I think, than just the top. It might just be the top guys, but we're taking them. We're also taking the team winners. They're all into Sunday, plus any special events that we run. Something like a regional, but we might call it a special event. That if you win that one, then that would take you straight into Sunday. But there's not like a gazillion ways to get into Sunday like there has been in the past. But you can get into Sunday by working and then you would be joining half the field. Then that field would play X number of Swiss rounds, and then we would cut to 32 like we've done before, and then that 32 would play single elimination.
Sure.
So that all should sound familiar to people that have been at the Cup. It's kind of, like I said, it's a hybrid between what we've been doing and what we used to do before. Now, those tournaments that we're talking about, the qualifiers and special events and maybe states, if we happen to run states before the Cup, which is a possibility, but that you can earn buys at those tournaments. Now, sure. If Dan Powell wins a qualifier and he's already qualified at the Cup at any point, well, I mean, if you qualify higher, but if you're already qualified to make it in the Swiss or in the final day, your buy passes down to the next available person. Sure. And it'll keep passing down until we hit somebody that's qualified. And we're also not, and again, I don't remember this. It's all of it. Alex and I spent an hour or two just sitting there discussing that, and we got notes, and I just don't have them in front of me. We're taking more than one person at these events. We might take the top 4, and I don't remember what it was, but we're taking more than one that qualify to go into the Cup. So every time we have an event online or we have a live event, hopefully sometime in the future, you can you qualify to make the Cup that way. Again, you still pay when you show, but you're qualified to play. And
sure.
So that it's a little bit different than before, but I kind of like it. I think it'd be good. What are your thoughts of that?
No, I mean, that makes sense, right? I mean, it just depends on when we get to start live events and that sort of thing. And as soon as y'all know, you'll put out a list of how you can qualify and how you can get in the Cup. But I mean, I think there's a good way. It's a good that the buys, can transfer now again. Always like that feature versus just, one of the things with WKO points was, you just keep earning and, you max out, right?
Yeah.
Then, and that always put down, I wouldn't say put down, but that, that meant that getting second place was awful bad, right? Before you could, get qualified by, getting second or third place, right? If you had a string of players that had, were winning all of the events that year. So.
Well, yeah, you're right. I mean, you had that year that Patrick won, I don't know how many damn events. Easton won a bunch of events one year. I know you won a few events in one year. And, hell, Adam may have done it last year if we'd had more events. But that's exactly right, is that we don't want people to think it's almost pointless or worthless to go to a tournament because it doesn't matter what they do, they can't get in. And we also obviously want the cup to be full of players too. So we're going to try to reasonably get as many people to come as we can, but we don't want to, it's a fine line between having over qualifications and having not enough. But we want people to play. So that's and you also want to have the opportunity that if you just want to come to Cup and try to get in, we'll have that too. You can get there, and more than likely, if you play a little bit, you can get in, even at the Cup.
Sure. No, that's good. I mean, you want people to get in and play, and you want a good field, and that's what you're after, right? It's always a balance, right? I mean, but
it is.
I think from past experience, you've always gotten, the top level of players that have gotten into the final day, and it's always been a great level of competition that way. So,
well, everybody has different things that they try to achieve. Somebody just making it to Sunday, some players just making it into Sunday, that's a major achievement for them.
Sure.
And they feel accomplished. Even it doesn't matter what happens on Sunday. If they lose every single game, they feel like they've accomplished something just because they're at the table with the best players in the world. And so
that's right.
Everybody's different. Everybody has different levels of where they're at. And I like those players. I like those players that are just excited about being there.
Yeah, absolutely. So Dustin had a question about the alternative formats. So Alex and I are going to hopefully try to get together and record and talk about some of the alternative formats to tag on to the end of this episode.
Which Dustin is this?
Dustin Cravens.
Okay.
There in Middle Tennessee.
Yep, I know Dustin very well. He's played a few times at the store.
Yeah, for sure.
Haven't seen him in a long time, but
no, he's gotten back into it. He top 8'd at Tennessee State's back in early December. He may have even top 4'd. Played I think a scientist, or he played the Barclay scientist kind of team with some Latvian folks. It was pretty cool.
He's a good player. To answer that question, the alternative formats, because we don't have whiz kids involved, we are able to introduce and do some things. I mean, we had multiple formats before. When we had multiple formats before, we were kind of restrictive. And I think right now is our attitude is, until we get back with whiz kids and until we get to the final days, let's just have fun. Let's just have as much fun as we can. Let's roll out some tournament, some different kinds of formats, so it's not boring. And I mean, I know there's sticklers there that just want to play 300-point modern all the time, and I'm kind of in the middle. I'm not a Golden Age player. I hate playing Golden Age. But there's some alternatives. Like I used to like when we created ROC Limited way back in the day. I really enjoyed those when we first came out, and so we're not going to go back to ROC Limited. But there's some things like, Aaron's wanting to play like from the Mighty Thor Ford.
Yeah, the Mighty Age one. Yeah.
Yeah, the Mighty Age, and I like that. That interests me. I mean that gets all the good stuff in there, and you can throw in some things that prevent stuff from happening. Like maybe no resources, and no ID cards. I'm fine with that. I think that's fun. Those are the kind of things that we're going to introduce. And the winter maps are wide open right now. Anybody can do whatever. In fact, we've opened it up to more than just venues, so people can play at home.
So you had a whole announcement on play at home and as well since then.
What people don't know, and I just leave it at that. I want people to shout out when they get their kits, and I leave it at that.
Yeah, no, we want to get a kit for here at the house and play some here in January.
When you get your kit, you need to shout out about what you think of your kit. And
all right.
Right now we're still putting ROC tokens in there. I just showed you a preview of what I want to replace those with. What do you think of that?
No, I like that a lot. And that was in the announcement, right? We can talk about that.
Yeah, we talk
The
about it.
the
The design's not final
card
yet, but
card
that's the design I
card
want to do.
sleeves and
Yep.
yeah. So the design, obviously the tentative design you showed me looks great, but it's a design that has the ROC logo on there and a window for the card dial and nice clear front, and I totally like that idea 100%. I think that's something new that um, hasn't
Well,
been done. It'll
no, it
be
hasn't been done. This it's a card sleeve designed for Heroclix in modern play, and for the you guys can't see what we've done, and it's not final yet. I got some I got some stuff in to look at just yesterday, and I got that, and I'm submitting my design probably tonight, and hopefully everything works out price wise and everything. And um, I wanted to create something that was cool and something that maybe this is probably something that we won't just put in kits, but we'll probably make available for people to purchase. I think that's actually good enough that people will want to buy them. Um, Card sleeves. The game's changed, of course. Back in the day, a regular card sleeve would have been perfect because yeah, people are allowed to look at the front of your card, but they're not at the back of the card. So having a card sleeve that's the back is not visible was a good thing. So that way you could put all your cards in the card sleeve. The guy, hey, he'd look at and he couldn't look at the back. So that was perfect. And the game changed, and now you can look at the front and the back. So the last thing a lot of people like to protect their cards, and the last thing that you want to do is every time somebody wants to look at your card is pull it out of the sleeve and hand it to them. It slows everything down, and it's just aggravating. So what we've done is we've created a sleeve that's customizable for for that, and it's clear on one side, the front, and on the back, it's 3/4 covered and a quarter not covered. And the part where you can see the stat window, that the like Dan said, you can see the actual clicks on the dial. That's going to be visible, and it also tells you the range and all that kind of stuff. So that's visible, so you can protect your cards, and you can also um, keep them in the sleeve at the same, and people can see them at the same time. And we'll put the ROC logo, like Dan said, on the back, and then I don't usually we put the ROC logo with a year on it, and but I don't want these to be dedicated to a year. That way, if we have uh, time between if we're going from 2020 to 21 or 22 or whatever, and then you're like, hey, these sleeves are old, they're last year's sleeves. So we took the year off, and in its place we put a little spot, a little bar, and I'm thinking, that'd be kind of cool. We'll put a bar there. It's a little yellow bar, it matches, and then people can a a Sharpie if they want to, and they can write their name on it, or they can write whatever they want to on it. They can write down the date that they got it, or that they top aided, or what the heck ever. They can put whatever they want to on there. They can write it and customize it even a little bit further if they want it.
sure. No, I think that's really cool. I like that. I like that a lot. Looking forward to seeing the final design and getting some in hand.
Yep. So that's the plans for that. And I think the other thing that I like about the card sleeves, especially if I get what I want, is we only put enough tokens in there where you got 2 tokens. We're going to be able to put a heck of a lot more card sleeves. So you
Sure.
finish 4th. Again, this is nothing locked in concrete. Maybe you get 8 card sleeves.
Right. Sure. No, that'll be really cool. So Ryan Redmond wants to know a 2-part question here. Is there a current timeline to start back up with WizKids? And will the monthly map program continue? I don't know if we touched on the monthly version yet.
So I got the first part, but what is he asking about the monthly map, the VIG?
Just will the monthly map program continue as is?
Okay. So there's not a timeline because, I mean, who would have known a year ago? Or even I think this all kicked in what, late February, March last year when COVID
Yeah,
started.
early March, very late February. Yeah.
I don't think any of us ever anticipated that you and I would be having a conversation going into the first year in Heroclix and the world would still be in the same status. We thought that, well, I mean, some people, I mean, there was a mixture, but a high degree of people thought that this thing would just blow over and be done with. And that didn't happen, and it's not happening. Um, so none of us, I mean, we all thought we'd have worlds. We all thought that we would have some of the things at the end of the year that didn't happen. And again, we're optimistic because we know that the vaccines getting out, or vaccines are getting out, and we think that the world will change, but it's not predictable. It's only hopeful, and we hope that by midsummer that there's some kind of normalcy back in the world, and we hope by fall that there's a whole lot of normalcy back in the world, and
That's
that
right.
we're running major live events again, and that we're having nationals and worlds and all the goodies. And
Yeah.
when and if that happens, the plan is to unpause WizKid sponsorship and everything will return to normal. In fact, you know, you've heard me say this many times, Dan. I'm a strong believer of turning negatives into positives, and that's what we want to do here. We want to take all this negative stuff that's happening and that we've had to not have WizKids involved for right now. And when we come back, we want the ROC program to be better. We want, now WizKids is back. We get the con exclusives in there. We got good pricing and all that kind of stuff again. The WizKids maps are more legal, are legal now. We've also, we look harder at our map making more so than we did before. We have better people that are, or more people, it's a better way to put it, that are involved in ROC and making sure. I've got Alex, I've got Aaron, very enthusiastic people that are making sure that all the dots are dotted and all the T's are crossed and information is getting across and the maps are right. We're more involved there. We've got $5,000 that's being put back in the plan is to keep it there. We've changed the program around the way that we do everything, and so the idea is that when it's all said and done and we're back, that we are better, that the program's better. We got better pricing, we got card sleeves, we got whatever in there and everybody's happier with it. The VIG program will continue. And we will continue along the same route as we did before, that you'll be getting maps. Of course, they're not going to be stamped WKO. They're the monthly maps. You'll still get your variant maps. And again, I will say, and I'm saying this, do not take what I'm saying as that this is going to happen. It may not. But I have some hope that when we come back together with WizKids, that maybe we can go back and look in these maps that we've been producing over the course of this year. Maybe some of them, maybe all of them, become legal. I mean, it isn't like we didn't do it before, but I know that WizKids is going to want to look at what our distribution is on those maps. They're going to and maybe find a way of maybe where we can increase distribution on those maps if that happens, because they're obviously, if we have a February map and we sell 50 of them total in the world and that was it, I don't think WizKids is too interested in saying, hey, those 50 maps are legal. So
right.
a lot
And
depends.
you know, and I think there's a point that I've been thinking about on this one, Howard. You know, it's a balance. There's a fine line to always ride there, right? And the balance there, I think that is communicated with WizKids. You know, how many maps are sold, how many is out there. But I think my point is, you know, maybe bluntly here is we play a collectible game that says it on the box.
Yep.
WizKids also announced a few years ago and it's continued to be true, is that the more powerful figures are in the super rare and chase slots, which means that those figures are more and more money.
Yep.
Like I think the Tennessee State's team that I think without maps, because my maps weren't that expensive generally, I think the figures for my Tennessee State team came in at a little over $1,000.
I believe that, but you didn't pay
And
$1,000 for all together because I mean you can trade and borrow. You don't have to spend $1,000 to have a championship
sure,
team. I mean,
sure.
let's
Well, and
talk about the.
I didn't even win. So,
Yeah, you're right. Well, I
so
mean, there
uh,
maybe the most perfect person in the world to use as an example of when people say you have to spend money to play Clix is Adam Friedman. Um, I don't know that Adam Friedman ever owns anything that he wins with, and he's a world champion and a national champion.
right. Yeah. No, I'm with you. So, I mean, I think my point there would be, the fact that maps cost money, right? Whether that's the buyable or the winnable, because there's been winnables that have been worth,
Yeah,
quite a bit. Is that as long as they're in circulation, they're going to cost money.
yeah,
We play a collectible game. I think is my point, and I think as long as they're able to be purchased, right? Whether as long as you can buy the kit, right? The win a map kit, the qualifier kit, the regional kit, whatever that is, for the winnables. Go buy a kit, run an event, right? Now, this is obviously assuming that we can run events, right? But, there's been years in past where maps have gone and being very expensive whenever you've had them readily available for kit sales.
yeah,
And, they didn't run the event.
yeah. You're
Whatever
talking
that
about a
map.
fine line. It's kind of funny. I've seen maps. We run quarterly events with prize maps, and for whatever reason, we just sold a lot of kits to the point that like, oh my God, I'm getting this map again, same map. Can we get another map? And I think a good example of that where it was oversaturation, not because we had the maps out any longer, but it was the what was that map called where Spider-Man had
The docks,
the fair? No, the fair was it the ferry? The
Staten
ferry
Island Ferry.
or the dock? No, the docks is a good example. Anyways, the
Yeah.
docks it just seemed like everybody had a dock map, and it's because it wasn't we didn't do anything differently. They were just the kits were just selling like crazy at that time, and then you have other quarters where they don't sell as much, and it's like everybody wants that map because they wasn't just the distribution wasn't as much, just because we didn't they didn't run as many events. So and that goes back to what I was talking about with your map that at the end of the year, that last quarter was a little bit leaner. So that it's all you're right. It's a fine line. Me myself, I've always I don't have a problem with a figure bringing a lot of money because that's what drives the game and that's what makes it exciting. Opening and buying boosters and playing in sealed events is those figures that when they get pulled. And I mean, I think there's a lot of people. There's some people. I don't want to say a lot of people that I think they would just rather that you just buy the whole set at one time and pay just one regular price and you got everything in the set. Let me tell you, that becomes a non-collectible game, and that has killed many a game.
That's right. Yeah. Right. Or you select, you spend $400 on one thing, and you play that for a long time, and hopefully not get bored with it.
I think Tyler would still be playing Wells.
Yeah, that's true.
He might not now since he's got Juggernaut, which, by the way, I really like that piece.
Yeah, Juggernaut's really nice. We're looking forward to playing that. So Tom Shannenberger, he likes the paper maps.
Yep.
What's the plan for paper maps?
Well, everybody likes to make suggestions. Well, you ought to do this and you ought to do that. I read a recent post by Jay where he was talking about doing something with the prize maps and stuff like that. And what everybody doesn't realize is that paper maps can almost be as costly actually they can be as costly. Okay. For me to print one map, I will spend as much money printing one map on demand of paper than I will a neoprene map. It's the same price. Where paper comes out way ahead is when I could print 1,000 neoprene maps and my cost may not go down that much per, but where I can print 1,000 paper maps, the cost goes down grossly. So the problem with paper maps, I would like to swap paper maps out quarterly, and just as frequent as I do the prize maps, or something along those lines. But to get the price to where I can afford to put them in the kits, I have to buy a lot of them. So that's the problem that people don't seem to understand. And trust me, I've talked to all kinds of printing people locally, nationally, globally, to get it all done. And it's a difficult thing. Most people, it's the setup of the printer, that the paper itself doesn't cost so much, but it's the setting up the printer time, and then the ink. And it's just, if they can run 1,000 of them, they can zip through them and they're done. But when they have to use the same amount setup time, do everything they do to run 10 of them. And so that's why the price is so different. I mean, it's so much more than price per. And if the price per goes up, I would love to just order 20 at a time, or 30 at a time, or 50 at a time. I could change those maps out. I could put different maps in every dadgum kit. I wished I could. I can't. And it's what my plans are is we still have a lot of the Hedge Mage maps. They're going to go in there. They're good maps. They are WizKids legal. And as soon as we run out of those, or before we run out of those, I'm going to order more. And I'm going to, the ones that I order, the new paper maps, I'm going to target WizKids legal maps first, so that when people are getting those, that they are still WizKids legal at that time. So there'll be some of our prize maps, possibly. I don't know. I don't think it'll be our prize maps. It'd probably be our monthly maps. I don't think I'll touch the prize maps, but it'll be the monthly maps, and some of our more. I'm obviously going to go after the more popular ones right off the bat. But you'll get two maps.
Sure.
You'll get two maps, the front and the back, and I'll order X number of those, and I'll just keep changing them out as quick as we can sell them. And that's the other thing is I will put those up on the ROC site for sale. And I don't know what they're going to be selling for. They could be probably $8 to $10 per map, which is what we've sold them we've sold paper maps for as much as 15, 12. I'm thinking maybe an MSRP ought to be like $8 to $10. And but we'll take those maps where people, if they want to buy them, they can, but they'll be going in the kits too.
Sure. No, that's good. I think a lot of people will be excited about that. And then our last question that was asked was from Anthony Barnstable. When will the ROC Hall of Fame 2021 be announced?
So the way the Hall of Fame works is, we put people in the Hall of Fame the first go around, and I think we chose well. And we had this conversation before. It's a lot. There tends to be too much focus by players over who should be in, and their only basis is recent memory. my memory goes 20 years, and I look at things that of people that have done things for 20 years ago that maybe are in the game or not in the game, and that's everything from WizKids employees to designers to people doing podcasts to players. And so the first 5 players that we put in, they were chosen for their contributions play-wise to the game and for their contributions possibly non-play-wise to the game. And we also wanted to have the first 5, I felt like they were qualified to be in the Hall of Fame, but I also felt like they were somebody that could set a standard for people going forward, for using some for being able to talk to each other and choose other people to come into it, because that's what it's about. I think voting by players is not what I'm going to do. I don't want this to be a popularity contest. I want people that are in the know, and that talk about it, and have the ability that have been playing for years and have years of experience to be able to choose who comes forward. And of course that group grows every year. So I mean, you start off with 5 and you got 10 and 15 and it keeps growing, just like a lot of Hall of Fames do. And those guys will decide who gets in. And there's some prerequisites, and that's pretty much them. I mean, that's pretty much how it is. And I hope that keeps to grow. I haven't done as much as I planned on doing with the Hall of Fame. What was supposed to happen was at the ROC Cup, the guys they were all planning on coming, and we're going to have a little ceremony for them and pass out some plaques and stuff. And I also have a wall that I want to dedicate at the store to the Hall of Fame, where they got plaques. I mean, pretty much it's going to look something like this. Patrick, he's one of the Hall of Fame members. It'll have the plaque, have his name and the year that it's inducted, and then it's going to have a little what do you call those little codes that you scan?
Yeah, a little QR code.
Yeah, to have a QR code on it, and you scan that QR code, and that QR code will take you to a bio of Patrick, and a bio that can be updated also. But you'll read that bio and then tell you a little bit about Patrick, who he was and what he's done, and yada yada yada. So every member that goes on that wall will have a little QR code that they can go and they can look at, and that's pretty much what I'm doing. And so I guess this year I guess we're going to induct 10 instead of 5. We'll have these guys will go around and they'll get the next 5. I've got to prod them along. We haven't talked to them in a little while, but in January I'll get them going. I'll start saying, hey guys, you got to get this together. I'd like to announce it sometime in February, and let's get the inductees so hopefully sometime in February we can start announcing who's in the Hall of Fame.
Sure. So that was the end of the questions that were asked. So what are the answers to the questions about things that weren't asked?
Well, we covered a lot. I mean, the biggest thing that I want to talk about is that there's a lot of assumptions made. One of the things, and I answered this, and I'm sure you read the post, that one of the things that bothers me, and you know, is that people take, and I'm going to defend WizKids, and I guess I defend myself a little bit too. This whole thing about WizKids not doing this or not doing that. I read some things, and I know you did too, Dan, where people are claiming that WizKids, they're all effed up and they can't get their stuff right. And why are these release dates late? And that's BS. Let me tell you something. I order stuff from all over the place, and I've been dealing with all kinds of mail issues and shipping issues. WizKids, when their stuff comes over, it comes on a boat. And so a lot of my stuff is coming on the air, but to get their stuff over at a reasonable rate and get it shipped here, the cheapest way you can ship something from China is by boat. And it's a safe way of shipping also normally. But the COVID first, all the plants they've had problems with the plants being shut down, and they've had to build new plants. Secondly, they've had we had the war, the China and Trump wars going on with import and export. Then you had the COVID issues that's kept it from moving from point to point and going through extra steps, and all of those things have delayed everything. And so WizKids is kind of at the mercy of everything. They plan everything based on when they're supposed to get it. They were supposed to have stuff in the warehouse weeks and weeks and weeks ago. I just talked to my distributor yesterday, and now I'm not saying this to scare anybody, but at that moment they still didn't have the stuff in the warehouse that my rep told me. He said it's going to be there and they're going to ship it out, and it's not unusual, but at that moment in time there was not in the warehouse according to him. And that's not WizKids' fault. It's a logistic problem. That in logistics, there's too many things that when you're going from one part of the world to the next, it takes some time. So I mean, it's just really for them they trust me, man. These guys are on top of their stuff. I talk to them pretty regularly, and sometimes I can't talk to them because they're so busy trying to get things done, and
Sure.
they're sweating. They're sweating it out on stuff being made in China and getting stuff done. And I mean, I talk to them and they're like breathing a sound of relief sometimes when they know this part's got done and they're on schedule. There's just things that they can't. There's lots of things they can't control. Nobody can control COVID. I couldn't. Another rumor that was going around is that everything that we've done is just a money grab for the maps and everything else. It's not at all. We never had any intention of putting ROC maps into kits, the prize maps into kits. It got dictated to us, and it got dictated to us for a sound reason. I had the choice. The choice was simple as this: you can do what you want with the maps, but we're not going to stamp those WizKids legal as prize maps, and you can do whatever with it, but we're not going to stamp them. But if you want them to be WizKids legal, then you need to put them in. You need to put them up for sale so there's a wider distribution. And
right.
So from my end of it, I would rather, even though yes, it's putting a little bit of money into my pocket, that ain't why I did it. I did it because it was better. You Dan have I don't know what map you have, but I'm sure you have some of the prize maps. Would you rather have me said, hey, I'm putting your prize map up for sale for $30 at the Gamer Mats, or your map's no good and you can't use it? Which would you rather have?
Right. Yeah. So I mean, I'll just say, I mean, I bought the sewers map, for $80 before the announcement, before any of this came about, and I'd rather be able to play with my map than not play with it.
That's exactly right. And so I mean,
and Howard, this is the one thing that that I would definitely go to bat for you, especially going forward, because you've got Alex, you've got Aaron helping with the kind of the design approval of these maps, but I think maybe the way that I would put this, Howard, is you don't go to work every day to not make money.
No.
WizKids designs sets to sell, right? God Emperor Doom being a chase instead of a common sells boosters.
It absolutely does, because you want to open those boosters up.
And so, in that case, and then in your case, having maps that are competitively designed and bring new design elements to the game, and giving people an outlet to play, right? Because if it wasn't for the ROC kits, right, you would be stuck with, your kind of your own scenarios, or what kind of pricing are you looking for, right?
Yeah.
You get the monthly OP kits, which have not been monthly the past few years, or you have WKOs, which are once a quarter, and people get burned out on sealed. So yeah, the ROC is a business and should be making money. Um, you know, uh, and it should be designed in a way that kits will sell and kits make money. I don't know, Howard. My time is worth something. I would assume you value your time at greater than $0 an hour.
I do. And I said from the get-go, from the very first time we made that announcement, that this was a business and ROC was in it to make money. Now, there's a fine line of how much money to make that you don't. It's not making me a millionaire. I don't expect it to. It'd be nice, but I mean, even if it made me a millionaire, it's not going to be because I escalated things up so high that I'm making that kind of money. But
Sure.
make two things drive me, or two things drive people, honestly. And this is why business is good. You can call it capitalism, I guess is the way you do it. One, you have a love for what you're doing, and two, making money. When ROC existed before, we only did it for the love, but it also handicapped us quite a bit, because there was a lot of things that we could have been doing before I bought it that would have been making money, that would have made the game better. And that's the whole thing, is that by making WizKids doing what they do and I doing what I do, we're making money. We're coming with fresh ideas. We're creating new product. We're doing things that make money and make the game better. And that's just the way that it is. That's the way that it works. And I believe that that's the way it should be.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you.
Another thing, you touched on maps. It's something else I kind of want to discuss. I've been playing the game since the beginning. To be honest with you, for the most part, maps didn't mean diddly to me when I first started playing the games. When I first started playing the games, I liked pretty much wide open maps with a little bit of stuff on there, but I liked range and stuff like that, and I didn't like to be hindered up. But when I went to tournaments, I really didn't care what map I played on. And there wasn't and we didn't do a whole lot of thought in the map. There was a gazillion maps, and I've been to many tournaments. Scott Crampton's somebody I think about, because I've been playing Scott, or around Scott, for years, and I can remember going to big events and Scott winning initiative, and he looked at what he's playing, and said, "Man, what?" And I remember him walking around the room or digging into bags and running every which way to try to find a map to play on. And sometimes he found it, sometimes he didn't. But the point is that even with that, there wasn't we never had a battle bag. We never had a battle bag. A few people carried around a bunch of maps, but for the most part, we didn't carry around a battle bag full of maps, and thinking that we had to have this map to win. It wasn't done. And then when they changed theme teams and added theme teams in, to where you could win map initiative, and you could play on your map. Even then, for quite a while, people really didn't care that much about maps. They didn't care that much about maps because I remember trying to design theme teams and to play, to win with. And at that time, you couldn't put together enough of a theme that it made sense to try. I always kept coming back, well, I can run this. It's not themed. It's a whole lot better. And
Yeah.
it just kept coming back to that. And so theme, we would try, but often we would fail. And then all of a sudden, a few theme teams started winning, and things started changing, and maps became more important. And then ROC emphasized maps being part of part of a team build, and honestly, WizKids followed suit there. I mean, we started the 3 maps being part of your team, and now when you go to nationals or worlds, that's the same thing. And maps became more important. I think that as a map person, I think that right now, and what got me to start thinking about this was when we produced this last data mines map, and it's a mirror map. And for those people that don't know what a mirror map is, that means that both sides are basically the same. We've been playing mirror maps since day one. In fact, I had a long conversation with Steve, and WizKids was
Steve being the map designer.
Yes, Steve being the map designer, who does WizKids, and he does ours too. He's made all the maps. And WizKids was insistent, and has been insistent for a long time, about maps being balanced. Just sometimes a mirror map's not an exact mirror, but it's close to being a mirror. Maybe it's a building over here but then you got a different size building over there, but they're very close. But there are some maps that are exactly the same. And so when we started making ROC maps, a lot of our maps, not all of them, they were mirror maps. I mean, you could go to Mayan pyramids and go to the wrestling, there are always going to be some mirror maps. But it got me thinking, and what has happened, in my opinion, and I've been pushing for some rule changes. In my opinion, that theme team and map initiative have become too powerful, and I think that's a problem, and I think and hope that it's going to be dealt with soon. And I think that things change, and I think that changes that are coming are going to be good. I know we got new rules coming out, and I think that I'm privy to some of those rules, and I think those rules are going to be good. And I can't wait till they start previewing these and everybody starts seeing them. And I think that I think that it's good. But I do agree with everybody that under the current situation, that I just think map initiative is too powerful. I think that you can now build teams that with +10 to get your map, and it's just got out of hand, and it needs to be reeled back in.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I started seeing this as as early as say late 2015, and it's just escalated ever since then. But and Howard, with the data mine thing, we did a segment on the show where we went through all the WizKids produced maps.
Yeah.
And then which ones were mirror or functionally mirror.
Right.
In which case, me and Tyler had a little bit of arguing back and forth on that. But there was a large percentage of even just WizKids produced maps that are functionally or mirror.
It's done on purpose.
Yeah. So.
And I don't have a problem with the mirror map whatsoever. I don't. I have a problem with map initiative and the way that map initiative is at the moment, and the way that it's being done. And I don't think that I should be able to build a crazy theme team and almost be guaranteed that I'm going to win map every single time. I also don't think that as player number 2, that the only thing that I get to do is pick sides under that condition. It's a very fair thing it's very poor, and either I need to have a better chance of winning map row, or I need to be given something as player 2 something like, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but if I can't win initiative and all I can do is pick sides, okay, why don't you let me pick if I'm first player or not? Okay, you get map, I'll be first player. Now, if I'm first player that makes you think a whole lot differently about what map you choose.
That's right. I agree.
So there's some change. I just think under the current currently under the way we do this, that map initiative is bad. And like I said, I hope that's something that changes in the near future or sometime in the future. And I think that the game just needs to be more balanced there.
And I will add maybe just a little bit of a comedic comment here. You got a little bit of flack, Howard, about what you essentially said was just get good. When some of these maps come out, I'm paraphrasing. But what's funny is that Adam wins Nationals and Worlds with a non-theme team, and
he adapted.
I guess getting good worked for him.
It did. I mean, and you should be able to. I mean, I remember when I won Worlds, my team was non-themed.
Yeah, yours was 17, and your final match you lost map, and you were on that Spider-Man bridge map of kids. And
I hardly ever picked map that whole tournament. I played on all kinds of maps. I had everybody take me to everything in the world, and but you have to make a team that can adapt, and you have to be able to adapt.
That's right. Yeah, and that's regardless if you build a theme team or don't build a theme team, and we've talked about that on the podcast quite a bit, doing your map planning. It's one of those things. I don't know. I could get on a tangent about map choice a bunch, but whenever you come to Nationals or Worlds, you have to plan for every map in Modern, because you might end up playing against somebody that can win map, and the only map they have is the Danger Room West from Regenesis. And if you've never looked at that map, you might lose.
Yep. Well, I remember, Dan, when a +6 map bonus was like huge. It's like, oh my God, he's got a +6. And now it's almost laughable.
Yeah. +6 is only there just for synergy, not for winning map.
Yeah. The game changes, and I think it'll continue to change. And I think that we need it to change. The game never needs to be stagnant. They're out, and kudos to WizKids for that. I think that WizKids is trying to simplify the game. They've been trying to simplify it, and hopefully these rules coming out will also help simplify it. Very, very, very hopeful for that. And it's changes. But I mean, you got to say this about WizKids. I've been playing this game the whole time, and I remember being amazed with Giants. I remember being amazed with when they created peanut-based figures. I remember that. I remember all these things, and then transporters, and then all these different abilities, and then you got freaking feat cards and BFC cards, and then they came out with the first resource, and then more resources, and how the resources worked, and then ID cards, and then it's just one thing after the other, and and then they've done things with maps. They just and now that they have all these alternate cards that attach the figures, and now they have the no die tech that has come out. It amazes me that they can keep coming out with things. It's kind of like going to the grocery store, and there's no way they can come out with another cereal, and they do.
Yeah, that's true. So what else did you want to cover today, Howard?
I think we've covered everything. The biggest thing is I wanted to get people out to know why we did what we did and what it is, what it entails, and I want everybody to keep their chin up. I want everybody to realize that we're going forward and things aren't going down; they're going upward. We're going to get back to doing events. ROC's going to keep growing, and we're going to have events again. We're going to have the bigger events. hopefully sooner rather than later. And that I wanted to make sure that everybody, I wanted to defend WizKids a little bit, because I think they needed a little bit of defense, because I think they've been getting some undue flack, and some of that flack is rolled over into my corner, where people are making assumptions and thinking that there's conspiracies going on that there isn't. Sometimes the simple truth is just simple. It's not a whole bunch of crap behind it. And I just want to make sure that everybody knew that. And I obviously wanted to let everybody know about the ROC Cup.
Sure. No, I'm looking forward to the ROC Cup personally. I'm looking forward to the money being back, and Dan,
by the time the ROC Cup rolls around, I mean, the way the store looked the last time you came in versus now, what the changes that we made is pretty extreme, and we're still doing it. You're going to be amazed. We have a dragon in there now.
Oh my goodness!
The middle room is being turned into a full-fledged tavern look, going all the way around. We painted some stuff on the wall. You may have seen that. We've added new shelving, we've remodeled, we've repainted, we've got floors that's still going down. Just lots of changes coming in. I'm anxious for you to come back just to see the store.
Oh no, I'm looking forward to it for sure.
New comfy chairs too.
Oh wow, yeah, chairs are always a good thing.
Yep.
So, well, hopefully 2021 progresses in a positive manner for all these things, and we can all get back to shaking hands and being within 6 feet of each other without fear of mortal danger. So.
Yeah, I agree with you. By the way, for those that don't know it, I think somebody called and asked me. We will be getting House of X next week. I expect mine to be in Monday or Tuesday next week. We are doing a auction on Wednesday night. And we will have everything in there. That's kind of become traditional with us. Every time a new set releases that Wednesday, and probably that Saturday, we'll have an auction.
Yeah, that'll be cool. I think the set will sell really well. So.
Well, we've done some pre-selling for it, and the pre-sales have done pretty well. And the thing is, this is similar to JLA or JLU rather, is that when we got that set, I consider that set the most valuable Heroclix set that's ever been made. And it wasn't because the chases and all that stuff were better than other chases. I mean, God, you can look at, you can go back and look at DC set with Green Lantern and everything in it. And that was, those chases all sold really well and sold well for a long time, and zombies. But those cards add a whole lot of additional value to that set. And this sure. House of X is the same way. All those cards are make a whole lot of additional value on this set. They every brick, every case you buy, you get, what is it, 7? I think it's 7 extra cards.
Yeah, something like that. Maybe a little bit less, but yeah.
Well, 6 out of a case, if you're getting...
Oh, a case. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I was thinking a brick. Yeah, I think there's about 3 to 5 a brick, on average.
Yeah, so you're getting 6 to 10 cards. If you get 10 cards and they average $10 a piece, that's an extra $100 worth of value. Even if they average $5 a piece, that's an extra $50 of value. That's a lot of value. That's extra. That's extra bonus. That's like bonus money.
Yeah, that's very true. So, well, thanks for being on tonight, Howard. Any final thoughts for the listeners?
No, that's it, man. I'm with you. I'm looking forward to seeing people in person again.
Yep, I agree. Well, thanks everybody for listening to Clixed Off today, and we'll talk to y'all next time.